solitary lion crosses one of Africa's most beautiful national parks. The Ngorongoro crater of Tanzania shelters some of the most spectacular natural wonders on Earth. Over 2.5 million years ago, a great volcanic cone erupted. When the dust finally settled, all that remained was a giant bowl 12 miles across, surrounded by a rim rising 2,000 feet above the crater floor. During the wet season, abundant rainwater flows down the walls of the crater to form Lake Makat, where flamingos return to feed by the thousands. The water absorbed in the crater during the wet season provides an ample supply of grass, which for most of the year supports a population of up to 25,000 large animals, including herds of wildebeest, water buffalo, elephant, rhinoceros, hippopotamus, and eland. Of grazing animals provides the staple food for carnivores of the crater: jackal, hyenas, cheetah, and lions. But of all the animals that are found here, it is the lion that dominates. About 80 lions live in family groups, or prides, of 8 or more, spread evenly across the crater. From records kept over the past 20 to 30 years, it is known that the number of lions in the crater has remained about the same. The gestation period of the female lion is about 110 days. There is no special birth season, and cubs can be born throughout the year. Like most cats, lions usually sleep or rest during the day for up to 21 hours. They will even rest between periods of feasting on a kill. Some will climb into trees to sleep, draped over the branches, to avoid insects that swarm over them on the ground. Others, gorged with meat from a kill, will roll from side to side, seeking a comfortable position for the large meal bulging in their stomachs. The pride is a complex social structure consisting of from 2 to 20 or more females and their cubs. The females are related to each other and usually remain together throughout their lives, as they do most of the hunting. After a meal, the pride gathers, grooming and touching each other and strengthening their family bonds. During rest periods, the cubs stay close to their mothers or other females. Here in the Ngorongoro crater, water is plentiful most of the year. The lions usually drink once a day, in the early morning or after a kill. Male lions are not permanent members of the pride, which may have from 1 to 4 adult males. These may stay in the pride for as long as 6 years, but more often lead a nomadic life, traveling alone or in small groups throughout the crater. When hunting, the pride will either band in small groups or roam alone in search of prey. At times, a female with newborn cubs will seek solitary shelter away from the males. No one is certain if she chooses to leave or is forced away from the close social structure of the pride. Lions have few distinctive markings to assist in recognizing other members of the pride, especially over long distances. Therefore, they must approach another pride member in a direct manner, without hesitation. Should an approaching lion of the pride seem unsure of itself, it may be attacked as if it were a stranger. If a lioness is attacked several times, she may become unsure of herself and eventually leave her pride. In this way, the pride remains relatively stable in size. Like most young cats, lion cubs spend a great deal of time playing. Their games of attack prepare them for the lifelong search for food. These two, a male and a female, are about a year old. The females are less temperamental than the males and show little reaction to mistaken identity. So most females remain with the pride, while the young males are eventually forced to leave. By the time they are 2.5 to 3.5 years old, young males are forced out by the mature males, who take over the pride for mating. And so the pride receives an infusion of new blood from the mature males, who fight for mating privileges. But in time, these males will be driven off by the younger breeding lions. Due to increased tourism, the lions have become accustomed to vehicles and to humans filming and observing their behavior. The camera crew has left the camera running while the young lions inspect the tires. They are distracted by a shout from the cameraman, who is more in fear for the safety of the tires than for his companions.
Koi. Don't. Don't.
The yearlings return to their mother for comfort and grooming. In a few years, the male yearling may be driven from the pride by an older male seeking to stake a claim. The young male will then spend a few years wandering alone or with other young males. As summer wears on, the great herds of wildebeest range over the crater floor. Grazing in the shimmering heat of the sun, the great herds are one of the main prey of the crater lions. The zebra are safer on the barren plain, but as they move into the taller grass, they are now at risk by the stalking female lions. The mottled brown coat of the lioness blends perfectly with the tall grass, now parched and brown in the summer sun. Hardly moving, the great cat waits for the unwary zebra to move closer to its place of concealment. It is not unusual for only one lion to hunt a zebra. Even though she may have greater success in numbers, once the lioness reaches her prey, the zebra will have little chance of survival. She stalks downwind of the zebra, slowly working her way closer and closer. Now joined by another lioness, she continues to wait for the zebras to move closer. Lions do not have the speed or stamina of other great cats, like the cheetah, and must wait patiently while their prey moves closer, and then, with a short sprint, attempt a quick kill. Now less than 50 feet from the zebra, the lioness waits. She is barely visible to the unsuspecting herd. She begins to close in, hunched low in the tall grass. lioness pins the zebra to the ground. The rest of the pride begins to devour the still living zebra. Still breathing, the zebra dies in what must be terrible agony as the great beasts gorge. Their stomachs filled, the lions clean each other by licking the still fresh blood from each other's muzzles and coats. After the kill, the lioness joins her cubs and begins a long rest period to digest her meal. Some miles away, a second pride is preparing to hunt. Lions, like most carnivorous animals, live within a well-defended territory. This territory must contain a source of water and plentiful food, and can encompass from 10 to 100 square miles. In the heart of the territory, the lioness is able to bear her cubs, protected by the other members of the pride. On this day, a water buffalo has been killed near an access road in the crater. Unconcerned by passing tourists' vehicles, the pride runs to the fresh kill. The pride's territory is carefully guarded by the dominant males. Roaring to alert trespassers, the male rushes forward, bellowing his rage to deter nomadic lions from entering his territory. Now safe from outsiders, the pride is on the move, possibly searching for more game or a protected water source. This pride has a large concentration of cubs and yearlings. Stretched out along the access road, they seem indifferent to time or distance as they slowly make their way, following the others. A new dawn. The pride stretches out in the high grass and rests throughout most of the day. It is difficult to determine why they have decided to move from one part of their territory to another. Even at rest, the females keep close watch over the young cubs. Lions have a well-defined system of communication. Using body contact, facial movement, and sounds, a lion expresses itself clearly to other members of the pride and to strangers who may try to enter its territory. As spring turns to summer, a flock of crowned cranes flies over a herd of zebra feeding on the open savanna. In the marsh, chicks of the blacksmith plover search for small bugs and then seek shelter in the feathers of their parent. Emerging from her hiding place, a female and 3 very small cubs set out to join the pride. For the young cubs, it is a long trip across the open plain. Camouflaged by the long grass, the female usually remains in hiding until her cubs are old enough to walk. Lion cubs are almost helpless when born. Weighing from 2 to 5 pounds at birth, they can barely crawl and do not open their eyes before 1 or 2 weeks. Newborn cubs have a slightly spotted coat, which helps to hide them in the thick grass. This color changes after 3 to 5 months. Sensing that the smallest and weakest cub is falling behind, the lioness gently carries it by the neck across a dry mud bank, while the other 2 cubs scurry to keep up. Slowly making her way past the others, she selects her spot. Here she rests while the cubs nurse. When several lionesses give birth at the same time, they frequently share the duties of raising all the cubs. This communal area then becomes the general meeting place for the entire pride. Communal gatherings allow all members of the pride to become acquainted with the cubs. As dawn breaks over the crater rim, a herd of elephants spray dust across their backs to discourage biting insects. Along the edge of Lake Makat, a flock of migrating birds pause to feed. Among the trees, a small herd of zebra and an old elephant with only 1 tusk feed peacefully in the clear morning air. Near the lake shore, gazelles graze contentedly as they share their pasture with a flock of ducks. Knee-deep in the mud of the swamp, a huge water buffalo wallows contentedly. The buffalo is the lion's largest and most formidable prey, and is capable of putting a marauding lion to flight. Lions are usually wary of an adult buffalo, which can severely injure or kill an adult lion with its sharp horns. During the heat of the day, the pride rests in the soft, high grass. The lion leads a life without threat, for their only real enemy, the hyena, will not attack the entire pride. If caught alone on the plain, an adult lion and cubs, or even young adults, can be at great risk from a pack of hyena. In the afternoon, the yearlings spar with one another, or their mother, who usually gives them a quick swat for their trouble. Then, relaxed and seemingly full of affection for the cubs, the female joins in the afternoon play. A young male and female of the pride also share in mock combat, which helps them sharpen their skills for real attacks as hunting adults. Late in the afternoon, the pride begins its quest for prey. Separated from a small herd of zebra by the mud flats of a slowly drying lake, two females are forced to leap a small stream. Now the yearling male must also cross. He seems in a quandary whether he should jump as the adult females have done or swim. Most cats are excellent swimmers, but they will avoid the water unless it is absolutely necessary. Moving slowly, the pride spreads out across the plain, making its way to a herd of zebra over a mile away. Screened by the high grass, the lions stealthily approach the zebra. With the wind blowing from the zebra toward the lions, the zebra are unaware of the approaching danger. Lions are known to approach their prey from either upwind or downwind. Time seems to stand still as the zebra slowly pass before one and then another of the crouching hunters. The zebra are crossing this area to graze near a large herd of wildebeest. Now, one lioness begins to move toward the zebra. Nearby, the entire pride is waiting for the moment to charge. Both wildebeest and zebra now seem to sense the presence of danger and barely move, uncertain from which direction an attack may come. Then, as if spectators at a sporting match, the herd watches as the lion attacks. Lions are slower than zebra and wildebeest and are only about 30% successful, even when hunting in a group. After resting, the pride prepares for another attempt. The dominant female heads off in the direction of a large herd of buffalo. Extremely dangerous, the African water buffalo can weigh as much as a ton. The males gather around the periphery of the herd, and the females and calves stay closer to the center. Seldom do one or two lions attempt an attack on a small herd of buffalo, or even on a single member that is feeding alone. But on occasion, whether they are truly hungry or just young lions practicing their hunting skills, such an encounter happens. It is seldom rewarding for the lions. Suspicious, short-tempered, and cunning, the buffalo is a formidable adversary and are extremely aggressive when confronted by a lion. In such short grass, the lions come as close as they can. Then they attack. The buffalo are quickly outrun by the lions. It's not a fair match. 2 lions and 3 buffalo. The lions quickly break off when the buffalo turn to confront them. Closer to the lake, a larger herd is peacefully grazing. Here the grass is higher, which affords the lion better protection from being seen. Working as a team, the pride takes up position along the edge of the buffalo herd and move in. Surprised, the herd bolts, then just as quickly, whirl around to face their attackers and counterattack. The buffalo chase after the lions, who are now fleeing for their lives. Seemingly convinced that the danger is over, the buffalo move back to the marshy ground at lakeside. The lions, too, return to a less dangerous task. The lioness and her 2 yearlings, who have taken up sanctuary in a tree, also rejoin the pride.
His floppy ears aren't nearly as big as an African elephant's, and his gray skin is less wrinkled. This African bull elephant may weigh as much as 80 people, or 6 cars. His heart alone can weigh as much as a young child. He's also got really big feet, up to 1.5 meters, about 5 feet around. And his brain is larger than all other land animals, a bit larger even than ours. But big is just the beginning. That trunk has literally thousands of muscles, but there are no bones, so it can move in any direction. It is so sensitive, it can pick up a single blade of grass. And yet so strong, it can carry a tree trunk. They don't actually drink with their trunk. They use it like a hose to pour water into their mouths. A big elephant like this one could suck up about 3 gallons. That's 10 liters at a time. That trunk is really just an extension of his upper lip and nose, which has evolved over many thousands of years. It's the perfect tool for reaching high or low to eat, for scratching an itch, and for clearing a path through the brush. Elephants are great communicators. They talk to each other with a large repertoire of growls, grunts, snorts, and roars. A loud trumpeting gives warning and gathers the herd. Most elephant communication is so low we can't even hear it. But his low-frequency rumbles can be heard by other elephants far away. They may also communicate by sensing vibrations through the soft skin on the pads of their feet. This guy will spend most of the day eating, putting away nearly 400 pounds, 180 kilos of food each day. That means elephants pass a lot of smelly methane gas, and they produce a huge amount of poop, called dung. It's not so nice to look at, but this elephant poop is very important. It is full of seeds from the plants and leaves that the elephant has eaten. When a dung beetle rolls it around, or carries it below ground, it helps replant new grasses and trees. In fact, some seeds won't even germinate if they don't pass through the elephant's digestive tract. In some areas, without elephants, a third of all big tree species would completely die out. Elephants contribute to the survival of plants and other animals in many other ways. Her journey through the high grass provides food for birds by disturbing small reptiles, amphibians, and insects. The depressions left by her footprints can trap rainfall, giving smaller animals a place to drink. Elephants are so important to the biodiversity where they live that they are considered a keystone species. Like the center stone, or keystone, that holds up an arch, elephants play a critical role in supporting their ecosystem. These huge animals are also very important to people. In Asia, elephants have had a special role in society and culture for thousands of years. They provide transportation and help with heavy lifting. Elephants even went to war. They were like tanks in ancient battles. There is an elephant god called Ganesha in the Hindu religion. He is the lord of success, the god of education, knowledge, wealth, and wisdom. Elephants are in fact very intelligent and self-aware, right up there with dolphins, apes, and humans. They are one of only a few animals, including ourselves, who can recognize their own reflection in a mirror. You have probably heard about the elephant's amazing memory, but did you know that they are also one of the most emotional and social of all animals? They play with each other like kids, roughhousing and fooling around, tussling with their trunks. They share special greetings with family and close friends. They are loyal and care about each other. Working together, these adult elephants rush over to help a young calf. Elephants live in family groups with lifelong ties. Herds usually include just adult females and their calves. When male elephants grow up, they leave the herd to live a mostly solitary life. The oldest and largest female elephant is called the matriarch. This wise old grandma is in charge of the herd. Everywhere she goes, the others will follow. She decides when and where the herd will eat, drink, and rest. With many years of memory and experience, she knows where to find food and water during drought, and other things that are vital to the well-being of the herd. Like children, young elephants are completely dependent on their family. Together, the herd provides love and discipline. They teach the calves how to find food and water, even how to behave. That strong bond starts from the very beginning. A mother elephant is pregnant for almost 2 whole years before she gives birth. This baby may look small next to its mother, but already it weighs more than 250 pounds, 110 kilos. A baby elephant needs to touch or be touched by its mother or another close relative every few seconds for reassurance. She will be nursed by her mother for up to 4 years. At first, calves don't really know what to do with their trunk. They swing it to and fro, round and around, with little control. Sometimes they may even step on it. Baby elephants have milk tusks, which fall out after about a year. As they get older, their permanent tusks grow in. Those famous tusks are really just teeth. They are the only 2 front teeth an elephant has. These tusks can grow to an incredible 3 meters, more than 10 feet long. They are both a blessing and a curse. Tusks are one of the elephant's most useful tools for foraging and digging, ripping bark off trees, as weapons, and for resting a heavy trunk. Just like right or left-handed humans, elephants prefer using one tusk more than the other. But these awesome tusks are a curse, too, because they put elephants at risk from hunters. The large tusks of adult elephants provide ivory, which has been used by people for thousands of years. In fact, the word elephant comes from the Greek word for ivory. The hunters prefer ivory from mature males with the largest tusks. It's used for piano keys, billiard balls, fancy chopsticks, and other luxury trinkets. Tourists sometimes buy ivory souvenirs while on holiday in Africa or Asia, but every piece of ivory comes from a dead elephant. Elephant populations worldwide have dropped by at least 50% in the past century, and the ivory trade is mostly to blame. To help protect elephants, all international trade in ivory was banned following an agreement among governments in 1989. But sadly, the ban has been partially lifted since then. So illegal hunters, called poachers, continue to kill elephants, just for the sake of ivory trinkets. Elephants are also at risk because logging, farming, and other human activities are squeezing them into smaller and smaller areas. They are migratory animals that can travel more than 100 kilometers, or 60 miles each year, following the same feeding and watering trails. When these roaming routes are divided by roads and railways, or blocked by houses, elephant herds have trouble finding food and water. Hungry elephants may wander into farms and villages in search of food. People get angry when elephants eat the crops they need to feed their families. They do whatever it takes to make the elephants leave. They may injure or kill them, and people can get hurt too. Sometimes the best way to help prevent conflict is to keep people and elephants farther apart. In Malawi, Africa, IFAW rescue teams moved a herd of endangered elephants out of harm's way. Many had been injured by local villagers protecting their families and crops. The elephants were sedated so they could sleep comfortably through the long journey. 150 miles, more than 300 kilometers, by truck and even by air. They woke up together in their new home, safe, healthy, and hungry, in a free-roaming reserve. These thirsty pachyderms are some of the last few hundred wild elephants in China. They live in the tropical rainforests of Yunnan province, where sharing space with local communities has become an increasing challenge. With so few elephants left in China, it's very important to find ways for them to live in peace with their human neighbors. IFAW is helping the local people here develop new ways of making a living that don't destroy the elephant's forest home, and to avert conflict and injury by alerting people and traffic when a herd is near a village or crossing a road. In India, a unique wildlife rescue center is helping create a better future for elephants, one calf at a time. The center rescues and cares for Asian elephant calves that have been injured, orphaned, or somehow separated from their herds before they are old enough to survive on their own. The young calves are given the same round-the-clock care that they would get from their mother. A bottle of milk, then tucked in for the night. As the young elephants get stronger and begin to grow, they are taught how to live in the wild. Walks in the jungle introduce them to wild habitat and help them learn the skills they will need to survive on their own and with a herd. Baby rhinos and other wild animals are also rescued and hand-reared at the center, then later released back to a wild home. Once they are ready, usually when they are about a year or two old, the elephant calves are moved to Manas National Park in the foothills of the Himalayan mountains. IFAW is helping India protect this vast reserve from development and to secure it from poaching. A radio collar helps IFAW keep track of the orphans as they grow up in the forest. More than a dozen endangered Asian elephants have been released in Manas over the past few years and given a second chance at life in the wild. Conservation groups like IFAW are also helping to protect large roaming habitat for elephants in Africa, like Tsavo National Park, home to the largest population of elephants in Kenya, and to a huge variety of African wildlife. Such efforts give hope for the future of elephants and for the biodiversity of our planet. They say elephants never forget. It's up to all of us to ensure that we don't either. Together, we can make sure that this mighty elephant family doesn't end up just a memory.
This big male is the 26th of the 145 giraffes who live here in Kure in southern Niger. Number 26 is a white giraffe. The white giraffe is the last to live in its natural habitat and in contact with human beings in Western Africa, outside of areas protected by national parks. For scientists, he's number 26, but the villagers call him Long Neck because of his interminable neck. He's almost 20 feet tall. With his head and legs that are almost white, and the wide reticulated pattern framing the fawn spots of his coat, the white giraffe of Niger is the lightest coloured of all giraffes. At the beginning of the 20th century, the giraffe was a very common animal in Western Africa. But from 1970, successive droughts killed more than half the livestock. The price of meat increased, and this led to giraffe poaching. In times of famine, a giraffe is seen above all as a ton of meat on legs. At the beginning of the 1990s, there remained fewer than 50 in only one country, Niger. Spending your days with your head in acacia trees is a giraffe's recipe for happiness. But every day having to eat 30 kilos of small leaves protected by long thorns is endless work. Its large, thick blue tongue enables it to choose the most tender leaves without pricking itself. However, it's easier when the branches don't have thorns, like those of the combretum. Contrary to appearances, the giraffes of the Niger don't live in a desert, but in a territory completely settled by man. They share their pastures with domestic ruminants, such as dromedaries. Fortunately for Longneck, the dromedary doesn't eat at the same level as he does. With a height of 6 meters, the giraffe remains unrivaled, which has often saved its life in times of famine. Niger is one of the poorest countries in the world, and it's one where population growth is highest. To feed themselves, peasants clear the savanna. The expansion of fields and livestock farming encroaches each year on the giraffe's natural habitat. In such conditions, there is reason to be concerned for future generations. When he was born, this baby giraffe was hardly 6 feet tall. During its first 2 years, it grew 3 inches a month. But to reach the 15 feet of his mother, he will have to eat many more leaves, if there are any left. This morning, Longneck and his females witnessed the destruction of their larder. Fatih, Fatima and Zara need money to feed their family. During the dry season, the men go off to work in neighbouring countries, and the women have to manage alone. They come into the bush in search of firewood. In principle, in the areas where the giraffes live, it's forbidden to cut acacias. But there aren't enough wardens to enforce the law, and in southern Niger, wood is the only fuel for cooking. It's impossible to go without it. But with each acacia cut down, a little more of the giraffe's future disappears. To fetch this wood, the women have walked several kilometers from their village. It will be sold to merchants set up on the side of the road leading into Niamey, the capital. For each bundle, they will get 24 African francs, about 3 euro cents. As soon as it's delivered, the wood goes to Niamey. And this is why the acacia copses the giraffes feed on are disappearing everywhere. There are a few areas being reforested, like this one, but they've been planted only recently, and it takes much more time for an acacia to grow than it does to cut it down. In the meantime, the giraffes need to eat every day. For Longneck's family, the end of the dry season is difficult. The heat gets more and more intense. The dehydrated acacia leaves aren't nourishing enough. Water is scarce. When food is scarce, the harem of Longneck, the dominant male, is reduced to only 2 females and their young. At the beginning of the month of May, the group has settled in the last area where water is still to be found, the valley of the Dalal Bosso, a fossil tributary of the Niger. It has been a long time since the water of the Dalal reached the big river. But here, in the middle of the drought, when everything is parched yellow, the last waterholes still sparkle among the lush green vegetation of the Dalal Valley. The Dalal Bosso Valley is a welcome oasis. It's where the villagers breed their cows, sheep and goats in the shade of the old trees. For the giraffes, there is a problem though. The cows hog the ponds to themselves all day long. And the savanna giants are fearful beasts. To avoid conflict, they wait for the herds to leave before going to drink. In fact, the shepherds chase the giraffes away when they see them approach the water. They reserve the precious liquid for their herds. As soon as you leave the heart of the Dalol Valley, the water table sinks lower. Water becomes inaccessible to the giraffes as well as to humans. To water their livestock, the villagers have had to dig wells. The length of the rope pulled by the donkey indicates the depth at which the water is, 150 to 180 feet. The pulley was given by the Association for the Preservation of Niger Giraffes. In exchange for peace for its protégés, it supports the local economy. In Niger, 85% of the population lives off farming. By helping the peasants to live better, the association has eradicated giraffe poaching. It also fights against the felling of acacia trees. The giraffes never come to drink from the wells. They have to find water on their own. It's the end of the day. Once again, the temperature almost reached 45 degrees centigrade. During heat waves, you have to queue up to get close to water. Blackbirds and doves hurry to drink before the cows arrive. In such extreme climatic conditions, a giraffe cannot survive for more than 2 or 3 days without drinking. To reach the nearest watering hole, this female won't hesitate to cross this dirt track. Thirst makes her forget her fear of man. It's true that she no longer risks her life when approaching humans, since poaching has stopped. But boldness has its limits. She's waiting for the cows, and above all, the shepherds, to leave before approaching the water. During the entire dry season, giraffes can never drink before nightfall. It's 11 p.m. The cows have bedded down. Everything's quiet. But she can't even take a drink on the sly. A spying filmmaker has set up some lights. Neither heat nor dust can prevent it. The species must be perpetuated. The giraffe's mating season lasts the whole 12 months of the year. These two young males are fighting for the big black eyes of a young female. Only the winner will have the right to court her. Given the beauty of the prize, the fight is merciless. The opponents stand sideways. It's the fighting position. Blows with their necks, their shoulders and their heads. No blows are forbidden. The tips of the horns are blunted, but they can still inflict wounds. Worse, the opponents could break their necks. Only 7 vertebrae for such a long neck. That's their weak point. A single vertebra out of place, and that's how one dies for love among giraffes. The winner goes right up to his prize, a ravishing female. Her graceful neck, glossy fawn coat, and silky long eyelashes make her a beauty queen of the savannah. However, it's the sweet scent of her urine that motivates the male. She releases a few drops, just a signal she's receptive. He curls his lip. It's the Flehmen test. They seem to be on the same wavelength, but in the end, it's always she who decides. The harmattan, the dry burning wind from the Sahara, descends upon the Dalal Valley with a thick layer of dust. The air is unbreathable, but never mind. This morning, Longneck, the dominant male, is feeling affectionate, loving even. One of the two females of his harem is on heat, as every fortnight, until she's impregnated. She's playing up a little, but Longneck knows he needs to insist. He'll follow her closely the whole day long, repeatedly cuddling up to her until she changes her mind. If she wants. Perhaps. He caresses her. She ruminates. A long love duo starts beneath the acacias. Among the giraffes, when you're in love, the females lead you on, far and for a long time. A mirage in the dry season, this stretch of dusty bushland is in fact a millet field after harvest. At the end of the month of May, since there's nothing left to eat or to trample on, the giraffes wander through here without bothering anyone. Not for long, though. Today, the children of the village of Canare have come to clear the field. There's no time left to lose. In a few weeks, with the first rains, the men who went far away during the dry season will return to plant the millet. The field must be ready for planting. The men will stay with their families in the village until the millet harvest at the end of October, before setting out again. When the millet season comes around, the giraffes are not welcome in the Dalal Bosso Valley. The domestic livestock is also asked to pasture elsewhere. The Fulani shepherds leave to take their goats, cows and sheep to pasture in areas of the savannah that aren't cultivated, several tens of kilometres from here. The migration is done in several stages. The young Fulani shepherds set up camps next to their herds. They will remain there several days, the time it takes to graze all the grass before going on to the next place. The giraffes follow the same movement as the herds. At the end of May, Longneck, the dominant male, gives the signal to depart. His objective? To keep his feet dry. When it rains, the level of the water table rises. The ground of the Dalal Bosso Valley becomes soggy, and giraffes hate walking in mud. There's only one solution: to go up onto the Kure Plateau. The ground there remains dry even in heavy rain, and it's only a short walk away, 50 kilometers. From acacia to acacia, the dominant male and his harem cross the area where the granaries hold the remains of the last harvest. In this one, a prudent peasant has saved a big pile of rather tempting goodies. On the left, peanuts. On the right, dried beans. All of which are full of protein. A real feast. But the peasant has used barbed wire to make his granary giraffe-proof. It's impossible to get a single mouthful. If the giraffes continued their way 100 kilometers to the south, they would reach W National Park, where they would find water, acacias, and peace and quiet all year long. The park is called W because of the meandering shape of the Niger River that crosses it. Many animals live there peacefully: buffalo, Defaso waterbuck, oribi. But W is also the territory of the giraffe's worst predator, the lion. He looks out for his prey from a large rock overlooking the river. This is what he's found is the least tiring. The first antelope to take a drink will be in trouble. The vegetation is dense in W, too dense for the giraffe. Its large size condemns it to living in a more open space. And the giraffe is wary of lions, capable of pouncing on it when it stoops down to drink. The river has other teeth, those of the Nile crocodile. If there's no antelope or giraffe, the lion, who is a lazy hunter, will be content with a guinea fowl for dinner. So the giraffes won't go into W. Their road stops in the tiger bush. This is a degraded savanna where vegetation and laterite alternate in parallel strips, in a pattern resembling the coat of the tiger. At the end of the month of May, heavy rain falls on southern Niger. In a few weeks, the landscape is transformed. There's water everywhere. Everything becomes green again. The rainy season is springtime in the savannah. For the giraffes, life has changed. They no longer have to hide at night to drink. The group of long neck, the dominant male, has grown. It now includes 17 individuals, 5 females, their young, plus a few adolescents. It's a very large family. The females can be recognized by their coats that are lighter than those of the males, and they are smaller. Only 15 feet tall, compared with 20 feet for adult males. The size of the groups increases with the quantity of food available. What's more, giraffes love being in a group, and the larger the group, the more opportunities they have of showing their affection to one another. During the rainy season, the acacias of the tiger bush become covered with tender young shoots. The giraffes make the most of them. Ruminating together is a way of feeling in harmony with the rest of the family. At the end of September, the Dalal-Bosso Valley is covered in a mosaic of green. After the last rainfall, the ground in the valley is drying up. The giraffes will be able to walk there again without getting their feet wet. As every year, in the beginning of the month of October, Longneck leaves the tiger bush to return with his family into the valley.